Alrighty folks, what's going on? So I'm back and it's that time of year again. Depending on where you live, it's winter or it's going to be soon. Now, regardless of where you live, if it becomes cold, you're probably preparing already or have already prepared. So, like myself, I'm now in the market for a wool sock or a warm winter kind of sock. And I stopped by a store I used to work at and I picked up these socks. Mainly because I was looking for a good pair of work socks that would hold up in the cold as well, but also because you guys have been asking me to test these kind of things out. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, I want to point out a few things, and number one is why I felt the need to make this video. Not only because you guys have requested these kind of things in the past, but mainly because until now I've never worn these. So I want to give you guys a bit of a documentation as to my personal first ever experience with these kind of socks. Now these are merino wool socks from, I believe the brand is called Berne or Berne, I don't know. But I apologize if I pronounce that wrong. You know, to all you grammar Nazis and pronunciation Nazis out there, I apologize. So again, I'm going to mention this multiple times throughout the video, but these are a great value. I'm going to have to also take my screen off of sleep mode multiple times throughout this video. But for the next 10 minutes, we're going to talk about why these are a great value. Now, the number one reason why these are a great value is because for 10 bucks Canadian, you're getting 2 pairs of these. Now, these are 2 pairs of merino wool socks, but these are more of a value rather than a purchase investment. And what I mean by that is these are not a high consistency of merino wool, and I'm going to talk to you guys about why I say that. Now, these range in assorted different materials within the sock. 40% of the sock is made up of acrylic-based materials, which are synthetic, aka really cheap. Now, granted, that doesn't always mean, actually, let me take that back. It doesn't always mean really cheap. Typically, when you hear synthetic or acrylic, rather, that's going to mean it's going to be a cost-saving measure. Now, you do tend to find this in a lot of hats, sometimes even gloves. But when it comes to socks, the higher-end socks tend to stick away from acrylic. Mainly, the acrylic is going to give you more of the color. But, you know, if it's a higher consistency of acrylic, typically that's going to show and indicate it's a lower-end sock. Lower-end craftsmanship and quality. Now, I'm not saying these are bad. I definitely think these will hold up for at least a year of washes. And after a year, you guys are definitely going to see a follow-up with this. I'm going to be doing a follow-up after 1 week of wearing only these kind of socks on Instagram. So if you guys don't already follow me, links are all down below in the description. But when it comes to that, the other materials these are made out of is 23% polyester. Now, why polyester is there is really important, because that's going to give it that moisture wicking property, which naturally merino wool has already, but it's going to be further enhanced since polyester is notorious for that. Now, again, this also has 20% merino wool. So this is kind of where, like I mentioned earlier, these are more of a value rather than a purchase investment. And that's why. These have a very low, in my opinion at least, very low percentage or consistency of merino wool. Being a merino wool sock, the fact that it's less than 50% merino wool really indicates to me that these are a low cost kind of deal. Now, there are socks from Dure, socks from, I'm sure Columbia makes them, ALPINE. I'm going to try and get my hands on a couple different versions from other companies to put them to the test and compare them to these, but those tend to have a higher price. With that higher price, a higher consistency of merino wool. So those are more merino wool than anything. And if it does happen to be like this, don't shy away from it. These are great to try them out. As well as Christmas is around the corner. These are great as stocking stuffers. These are great to get your family, your friends, your kids, your nephews, your brothers, I don't know, you. So if you want to kind of treat yourself to something that's really inexpensive, these are a great way to go. Now, in terms of performance, this is kind of like what I'm all about when it comes to reviews on this channel. These are designed to last, but being that these are only 20% merino wool, keep in mind, again, you cannot put these in the dryer. I cannot stress that enough. I did that with a sweater once. once because it shrunk and I had to like throw it out. It hurt so bad because I liked that sweater, but I was stupid. So that being said, don't put your wool or cashmere sweaters in the dryer, folks. Yeah, don't, especially if it's a gift. Now, getting back on topic, so I don't expose myself further. Now, these are fairly thin. Now, that can seem as a good thing to some or a bad thing, depending on whether or not a thick sock, in terms of a winter sock, is ideal. That may not be good for you. Now, if you guys are like me and don't like big, excessively bulky, thick socks, this is probably where you should start at, because if eventually you think of getting a thicker one, because maybe these just don't hold up in terms of keeping your feet warm, at least you know where you started from in terms of thickness, and you can only build your way up from there. And if you guys are ever thinking of doubling up, I would definitely consider a thin polyester sock. For instance, the ones that I use are the Cool Cell ones from Puma. They're the crew cut up to above the calf. So that being said, those are fairly thin, and they do great at not only keeping your feet dry, but not making them stink like heck. That's really, you don't want stank foot. Nobody wants stank foot, especially because then your footwear starts to smell bad, and you don't want that. So that being said, polyester is great. Now, these also feature 15% nylon, 1% spandex, and 1% rubber. Sorry. The reason these have nylon and spandex is more of a structural thing. The spandex for elasticity, and the nylon for, I guess, more of like a support kind of thing. Not support in the foot, but just overall form support. So the sock keeps its shape. Now, that's also in part with the acrylic and the polyester. Now, as a merino wool sock in general, despite it only is 20% merino wool of everything, it is still merino wool, and it should keep your feet fairly warm. Now, a lot of higher ends, like I know Dure does this. They have, I believe, a heat level of 3 or 5 flame symbols. The ones I'm thinking of buying, I believe, are 2 flame out of 3, or whatever it is. So almost all flame. I know it sounds kind of weird saying like that, but those are really well made. So I'm going to be putting these to the test for the next week. I want you guys to let me know if you guys have any questions down below in the comment section. If there's anything you guys like me to kind of elaborate on, I will do that. But until next time, guys, stay warm. Baffin 6, I'm out.